Sounds good.
Well, welcome, and thanks for joining us today for our new knowledge session. My name is Sandy Ratliff. I'm with Virginia Community Capital, and I'm happy to be a part of this program that's been around since 2014. And that's hard to believe how much content that we've put out in those in the last 9 years. I'm happy to partner in this program with the Washington County Chamber of Commerce, the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator, and the town of Abington. Our goal is to provide and help our new and existing businesses in Southwest Virginia and all throughout Virginia and East Tennessee to obtain additional skills to help them in running their businesses. Some of the housekeeping things, today's session is being recorded for education and training purposes, and it will be made available later this afternoon on the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator's Facebook page. And then we have a New Knowledge YouTube channel. So just go to YouTube and look for New Knowledge and you will find that there. Today's topic is very timely in my opinion because I think video development and how to get that content out is extremely important in the now and going forward. I know when I want to know how about anything, that be a product or how to fix something or what's the best out, I go to YouTube or some other channels to watch content that someone's put out there instead of me reading. But I'm excited to have two people that I respect and admire and who's been supporting this New Knowledge program for several years. That's Rob Bunch with the Leverage Group and Carrie Kennedy with Starscape Media. They're going to share with us today all about developing your content and how to push it out. So one of the things I want to mention that we're going to save questions and answers to the end. So if you have a question, please post those in the Q&A section or in the chat feature, and we will address those at the end of the session. So Carrie, Rob, I turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Can you guys hear me okay? So it's great to be here. I'm grateful to be here today. Thank you to Sandy for bringing us in. And I'm so thankful that Rob's here with me today. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Carrie Kennedy. I've been the owner of Starscape Media, small production, video production business based out of Bristol. And I've been in business about 15 years. And for the last few years, I've been doing a lot of work in conjunction with the Leverage Group. And Rob's here with the Leverage Group today, and we're kind of tag teaming this presentation on video. And video has been, it's been a hot topic for a number of years. Even pre-2020, video was a hot topic. And now today more than ever. And so it's great to know that folks like you are really interested in the subject, and we're excited to be here today to share. So just to start off, I just want to talk about why video. Why is video such a hot topic? And for me, it really boils down to the power and the combination of both sight and sound. And video is something that really takes us places. And I started to insert a couple of videos into the presentation, and I thought, no, I won't take your time up with that because everybody knows video. Everybody sees video. We all consume a lot of video, even more so than we even realize probably. But we all know that it's more powerful to actually see in the example of a waterfall. If I tell you that a waterfall is powerful and beautiful, you can start to kind of conjure that image in your head. But if I play a video for you of a waterfall and you can hear the rushing water and you can see the magnitude of the waves that are rushing over a waterfall, then it literally takes you to that place. And so for me, that's the power of video. It's the combined sight and sound. And so it's the most powerful medium that we have in this media world that we live in. It's really the most powerful medium that we have to express thoughts and ideas. And so, Rob, if you want to hit the next slide. So I'm just going to run through real quick a few stats that will just kind of help back up this theory that video is so powerful. 83% of human learning occurs visually. The brain processes video 60,000 times faster than the written word. And that to me is just mind boggling. And I've always known, I've been in video for 20 plus years, and I've literally produced thousands of videos over the years. And I've always known that video was such a powerful medium and such a great way to take a massive amount of information and condense it into, a video that is easy to follow, that you really don't even have to think too much about. You literally just sit and consume the content, and your mind just takes it all in. A few other stats for you. Viewers retain 95% of a message communicated via video compared to 10% reading text. So again, just supplementing the thought that video just is something that immerses us in the content, and is something that we don't even have. I think when we're reading, you have to think and process, but with video, you're just soaking it in like a sponge. Next slide, if you will. 94% of those surveyed say that they watch video to learn more about a product. And I heard Sandy say that in her opening, that video is a portal that she turns to a lot. I think we all do. Anytime we want to learn something today, it's just real easy to jump on YouTube. And we like to say YouTube University, because there's literally almost nothing that you can learn or not learn from going to YouTube and doing a quick search and seeing what's out there. And you can actually watch somebody do something that you're looking to do. And lastly, people are swayed to purchase 84% of the time when they see a video that demonstrates a product. So to me, that's, again, extremely powerful, and just backing up this concept on the power of video. So if we want to think about the power of video, 87% of online marketers utilize video content. And that's something that Rob's going to talk about a lot today in his part of the presentation. As a marketing expert, just the value of video for marketing. And 93% of marketeers surveyed say that they've landed a new customer thanks to video on social media. So all of this telling us that video is a powerful medium. But now I think it comes, now that we all know that, and we know too, in this day and age where we're so driven by social media, that video is kind of king in the social media marketing world. And why is that? It's because algorithms, portals tend to like to push video, and in their algorithms, they push video. And so therefore, we tend to see video over other content that's shared. So video is a great way if you're wanting to promote your business to be seen, and also to be heard, since video is the combination of sight and sound. So all of those things speak to the power of video. But now it comes down to why and how can you, knowing that, make video work for you. So moving right along, there's lots of ways to utilize video, so many ways. It's almost overwhelming, even for me as a video producer, the multitude of ways that there are to utilize video. And if you're a small business and you're thinking, okay, how could I incorporate video into my marketing efforts? Here's just a list of a few examples. Doing a company overview, interview-based Q&As where you're answering questions about the service that you provide or the products that you have. Product reviews and demonstrations, kind of like those that we just talked about, that we all Google and search for on YouTube. Behind the scenes videos, those are super hot today, because I think people are more and more wanting to see, reality shows kind of sent us down this path a few years ago. And we started to realize that people love sometimes the unproduced content or the lesser produced content more than they really love the produced content, because we all want to connect with those things that are really real to us. So behind the scenes videos are super popular right now. Animated and explainer videos, which you see the little thumbnail at the bottom there where it says the easiest way to influence your kids. That's an example of a little motion graphic video that's all based around little animations. And they're often called explainer videos because a lot of times that you can take a very complex concept and break it down in an explainer video that kind of animates through and takes you through that process very easily and concisely. And announcement videos are a great way to draw attention to an announcement that you want to make or to a product that you're releasing into the world. So many ways to utilize video. For me, it's it's almost overwhelming, and it would be overwhelming for us today to try to talk about all the different software things that are available, all the different types of software, all the different types of hardware. There's literally a sea of opportunity out there in terms of software that you could use, or cameras that you could buy, or microphones. And I definitely want to point you in a good direction with those things today, and try to give you some tips that will help you if you're looking to buy equipment or learn how to use equipment. But I think we're running to stay today on the higher level and just help you understand the importance of video, and also the thought process that you're going to want to use if you're thinking about utilizing video in your marketing efforts. So,
Carrie, before we move on, Carrie, I would ask you, what kind of tips would you give somebody in order to decide which of these videos is best to use for what they're wanting to accomplish?
Okay, great question. That actually leads me into the next slide, I think, if you want to flip over. For me, I'm always expressing to clients that I think before you even begin to approach making a video, it's so easy to hear, okay, video is important. I need video. And you just want to go and create a video just so that you have video. But I think it's important to step back first and to think about, as Rob's insinuating, like what is important? What is really behind the scenes important? Why do you need a video? And I think you need to really answer the question of these three bullets here. Are you trying to get on somebody's radar? Are you trying to spark a reaction? Are you trying to teach somebody something? Because it's hard to, you can create a video that in a number of ways may do all of those things, but in general, it's good to really come up with a strategy. And that's a lot of what Rob does with the Leverage Group. And, coming on the back end of that, and a lot of times they'll come to me with a strategy in mind, and then I work on the actual video production, but it's all been thought out in advance by a strategy. So you really want to start strategizing, and both of us are more than willing to help with that. That's what we do day in and day out, especially Rob on the strategy front, and then me implementing that on the video production side. But, to really start asking yourself these questions, what are you looking to accomplish? And then if you'll hop over to the next slide, Rob. Working from your biggest goals and objectives. So I think if you can answer that question first, what is my objective? What is my real goal here? And then come up with a strategy from there on, what kind of video could best serve your purposes. I always say mix it up. I like to, for me, video is a creative outlet, and we're living in such a media saturated world where there's so much content out there. I think that you always want to do something. It doesn't have to be a mega blockbuster, but for me, I always want to do something that's got a creative catch to it, or got a creative hook, or that's going to be different from what I've done before. I like to say, as a video producer, that I never like to make the same video twice, because I always want, to put fresh content out there, something that's going to offer somebody something new, or maybe a new just visual that they haven't seen before. And at the same time, in making the most of video, I've listed here the importance of building a library, because, gone are the days where, when I first started out in video production, we would get inquiries from clients that wanted one video, and they just wanted a video that could live on their website and could be a good overview for their company. And so we would produce that video, and that would live on their website for a year, or 5 years, or even 10 years, and that would be their video content. But in today's day and age, people are looking for content that is continual, content that they can always count on you to, share something new, share something fresh. So I think building a library is hugely important, and that's where you're gonna, create a YouTube channel, or have a folder within your Facebook where all your videos live, and that's where you start to build a library. So flipping on to the next one, a big question that I get a lot is, with this concept of video, yes, I know I want video. Yes, I know I need video, but can I do it myself, or do I need to hire it out? And I think that's a great question to ask. And I think, as I alluded to earlier, we're living in the day and age where people aren't always looking for highly produced content. They're not always looking for some huge, big production. A lot of times they just want to see and hear from you. And that may mean a cell phone video that you record on your own, or it may mean something that you can very easily do in-house. But I think, when it comes to thinking through that topic of, do I want to produce the video myself, or do I want to hire that out? I think there's a number of things to think about. And for me, one of the big ones is equipment. And here in this image, you see a nice shiny camera and a nice lens there. And, we're living in the day and age where all of us are carrying around cameras. I mean, we've got these cell phones that really have pretty nice cameras on them. So they have their limitations. And I think that's where you're just going to want to do some research or have a consultation with one of us, where we can kind of help point you in the right direction. But there are limitations to using a phone. You want to think about things like storage and how much content will you be rolling out, and what are your deadlines? And do you have I like to tell people that anybody can really learn video in this stage. You can go to YouTube University, you can learn the nuts and bolts of video production, but it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of expertise. And there's a lot of times technical challenges, and there are things to think about, like the amount of RAM and hard drive space that you have in your computer, and processing power. And, there's a lot of things to think about there. And so I think when it makes sense to hire video out is when you don't have the resources in-house, if that's from a time standpoint, to be able to, not just go out and shoot a video, but actually do the strategy piece. And really, do you have the time, and can you dedicate yourself to really coming up with strategy and then keeping that consistent content, so that you're not just creating one video and leaving it out there, but that you've got a system that's going to increasingly produce content that's going to help engage an audience. So those are all a few thoughts when it comes, and I'm happy to, Rob and I will be here to answer questions after we both present. So if you have questions, if this conversation is sparking questions for you, please bring those up after the fact or after the presentation. But, I think there is still a place for production values matter. I'm high on production values. And when I produce a video, I like to bring in lighting and quality sound and all of those kinds of things. And I think there's definitely still a place for that. And there's certain projects that really, every project warrants good audio, but, you want to, that's something that I'm happy to help clients think through is this a project that should be done in-house and can be done in-house, or is this something that you want to hire out? So like I said, a lot more questions and answers perhaps at this stage in the game, but happy to help anyone that I can with that one. Okay, a few resources for you. Like I was saying earlier, it can be overwhelming, all the things that are out there. But I just wanted to point you in the direction of a few resources that may help you if you're thinking about video, or if you want to learn more. Videomaker.com is a great resource. They include a wealth of articles in their content every month that really start with the basics of creating video and deal with a lot of those entry-level questions, like what camera should I buy, or what microphone is best, and what software. They break down a lot of those things. So it's a great resource. You can go to videomaker.com, and they also have a printed magazine that you can find in most pharmacy stores and that kind of thing. bnhphotovideo.com, I listed this one because this is, to me, a very reputable, the most reputable, I would say, dealer when it comes to video equipment. So if you're looking to purchase any video equipment, that's definitely a resource that I would point you to. That's mostly where I go to buy video equipment these days. There's a lot of places out there, but video purchases can be expensive, and there's a lot of places that aren't so reputable out there. So for me, B&H Photo Video is a great resource. And one thing I love about that particular website is they do a great job of providing you with lots of information and good descriptions about every product that you may be interested in. So if you're researching a camera, it's a great place to go, because they'll literally have a nice organized page with details and pointers and side-by-side comparisons of different pieces of equipment. So I think that's a great resource if you're wanting to learn more about video. Canva.com, I'm sure you've all heard of before. That's a great resource if you're looking just to create some short video content, and they're known for their ease of use, and you can create some nice looking content through going through canva.com. So definitely want to check that out if you haven't before. And Envato.com is another great resource where you can find things like royalty-free music. You can find a lot of elements that you may want to incorporate into a video, like stock footage and that kind of thing. So just wanted to leave you with those and to point you in those directions, and thought that might help if you are working on some video projects. So with that, Rob, I'll turn it over to you and let you handle your part of the presentation. Thank you for the slide management.
No worries, not a problem. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today, either here live on the Zoom or wherever you may be watching later on too. We appreciate you being here. I'm going to put Sandy and Carrie on the spot here with this question and see how well they do. If you all needed to guess, how many minutes does the average consumer spend per day watching online videos? So Sandy, we'll go with you first. How many minutes per day?
But you said you will not judge me on how I answer?
No, ma'am, no judging.
It depends on the weekend, but probably on average, I'm using online, watching videos at night instead of cable. And I would say 7 hours.
7 hours per day?
Yeah, when if you're checking things online and so forth, it may not be that much, but that's a weekend.
Yep. How about you, Carrie? What would you say?
I should probably already know the answer to this question, but it's going to be a guess for me too. I'm going to come in on the lower end and say 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. Okay. Well, we'll convert both of those answers to minutes, but what we're looking here is it's 100 minutes per day. The average consumer spends watching videos, but if we work that out for an entire year, that's 25 days per year per consumer. So I use that to just say lots of people are watching online videos every day. They're consuming that content. They're used to consuming that content. Carrie alluded to it several times throughout her presentation, but video is king. And if you as a business owner or as a marketer within your business aren't utilizing video, I would highly encourage you to really build that into your strategy as you move forward. And obviously being at a lunch and learn like this is the first step to kind of understanding that and understanding the importance of that. So Carrie touched a little bit on this, but obviously strategizing is such a big part of video. I think a lot of times people jump in and they get excited about the creative aspect of building videos and the blockbuster making of the videos, but they sometimes forget the strategy part of it. And so even before we pick up a camera or a microphone or build a script, we really need to be talking about what's the end goal of the video? What do we want it to accomplish? And there's really basically 5 things in the funnel that a video could accomplish. And Carrie touched on 3 of those, but really awareness. So are we building brand awareness? Are we asking people to consider our product or our services? Are we asking them to actually convert? Are we asking them to make a purchase? Are we asking them to utilize our service? Are they already currently a client and we're just creating extra content to give them that warm and fuzzies about who we are and create that loyal brand connection with us? Or are we asking them to advocate on our behalf and really kind of refer us to their friends? And what does that look like? So remember, your videos can't be everything to everyone. So there's no way that one video is going to potentially touch all 5 of these things in the funnel. So, really think about that from a strategy standpoint. And really kind of think about who's your target audience and what do we want them to do. So many times we create these great videos, but we don't have a strong call to action and we're not asking the consumer to do anything with it at the end. And that doesn't mean that that's, not a relevant video to some people. It could be, but the best videos are the ones that have a strong call to action and are asking people to take action and that we're really encouraging them to interact with our brands the way that we want them to be. The next big thing really is deciding on the platform. So we've begun to think about the strategy of what's going to be in our video, but where's that video going to live? How are we going to use that? So I wanted to share some consumer behaviors with you. These are ever changing. So these were published late last year in the fall, and I would imagine that if we were to pull numbers even today, these would be a little bit different. but this is the time that when they're on a particular platform, how much time they spend actually watching videos on those platforms. So YouTube is almost 100% of the time. Same thing with TikTok. So those consumers are on those platforms to watch video content. Instagram's about 51%. Facebook is 46%. Snapchat is 50%. Pinterest is about 21%. And Twitter is about 32%. So people are on these social platforms looking for video content. And remember, a lot of these platforms don't start with audio. So as you're building the strategy of your videos, know that sometimes people are going to watch your videos at night when they crawl in bed next to their significant other and they're scrolling and the other person's trying to sleep and they're watching that video with just captions or with no audio. So it may just be sight only without the sound. And so as you begin to strategize, think about that as well. All of these different platforms have different spec requirements and features. So as you are strategizing, not only is it important to think about where is this going to live, but do I need to shoot and edit this in a particular way that it could live on multiple platforms? And you need to understand what those spec requirements are. Carrie, I'm going to put you on the spot again as well, just because you're the professional on the actual production side of things. What do you think is a good length as far as producing spots for social media? I know what statistics say, but from a production standpoint, what are you seeing and what do you think best practices are there?
Gosh, it's definitely getting shorter and shorter. The amount or the duration of videos that we recommend is getting shorter and shorter by the day, it seems, just because the attention spans of those watching, as you mentioned, people have a lot going on. A lot of times our mobile devices are in our hands, but we're plugged in, but we're not. So, a lot of times I'm encouraging clients to stay 2 minutes or under, and there's a lot of power in even a 10 or 15 second video a lot of times.
Absolutely. So, when we're advertising on the platforms, we encourage those to be 60 seconds or under. Really 30 seconds is the sweet spot. So if you think about what we would run on broadcast television or cable television, it would be the same from an advertising standpoint in a social setting. Or a streaming setting. But really, anything under that 2 minute mark. And so if we have a longer story to tell, it's okay to create multiple videos to tell those stories as well. And so that's part of the strategy, is that we want to talk about, the length of the video. What we don't want to do is create a video on our phone and look down, and after we videoed it, it's, 17 minutes long. Nobody's going to, unfortunately, watch the 17 minutes. So we have to be very strategic about that up front. But again, multiple different specifications and requirements for each of these platforms. Some people require us to hold our phone this way when we're video, some require this way. So, really kind of thinking through that and understanding that is important. Create playlists and channels depending on depth of your content. We're going to talk a little bit more about this, but once you post that video out in the digital universe, it stays there. And so, as Carrie said, when she started her business a while ago, she would create one video asset for a client and would live for 5 years or so. Now we're creating multiple, but those continue to live on. So not only is that video available from 5 years ago, but the one that we made last week or earlier this week is there too. And so that library is important, and creating that where people can find that in an easy way and can interact with your brand in an easy way is really important as well. So those playlists and those channels are going to be important to you as you build out your strategy. And traditional media isn't going to be left behind. So, we talk about broadcast television and we talk about cable television, and obviously that viewership is declining, but a lot of those media companies are investing in streaming options as well. And so as we begin to cut the cord per se, and consume our television in different manners, we may not necessarily be consuming it on Fox television station at 8 to 10 o'clock at night. We may be watching that on the Fox app and streaming that later on. But the reality is that we're still able to insert advertising in those places with video, and that video is important. So, not only should we be strategizing about the content aspect of it, but the advertising side of it as well. And that's where streaming and display video advertising comes into play. And that in itself is a whole entire strategy on its own outside of building your content strategy. And so I just mentioned that to say, as you're building your content strategy, be thinking about, is this going to be organic? Is it going to be paid? What does that look like as we move forward? And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a few minutes. Carrie talked about selecting the type of video content. I would just kind of add to that. I included a marketing chart here where it says that 48% of people reflects that the specific products and services that they own or are interested in, they're watching videos on. So almost 50% of consumers are interacting with a product that they potentially are interested in and are ready to buy. To see the different categories. I'm not going to read through all of those now, but as you build your video, is it for educational purposes? Do we want to show a behind the scenes look at our product and our brand and who we are, our people? Sometimes our people are a big part of our brand, and we interact with a company because of the people, even sometimes more than the products and services. Interviews, not only with clients, but consumers potentially, and then also with the staff that run the company is important. Obviously, video can be entertaining. Lots of brands build their brand and build their stories based on the entertainment aspect, and they're just extremely creative about how they're selling their products and services through that entertainment aspect. And so, your voice in a video, meaning your tone and how you want to be portrayed, is a big part of the strategy. And do you want to be educational? Do you want to be more silly and fun? How do you want your brand to be recognized in that space? And it can be a combination of those things. We just would recommend that it not be all of these things all at one time in one video. Again, not one video can be everything to everybody. And then testimonials are important too. Word of mouth is important. And obviously it's still one of the greatest advertising methods around. But no greater way than to take that word of mouth and put it on a video and then share that and push that out as well. So we've made it. Now what do we do, right? So we've kind of talked about the strategy, and we've decided what type of video that we were going to have. How are we going to push it out? And, like any good thing from a building standpoint, we also need to have a plan of what it's going to look like after we've built it. How's it going to be utilized? And so, our recommendation would be to have a content plan and work it. This video shouldn't be a one and done. We shouldn't just create a video, push it out one time and never talk about it again. Just stick it on the shelf and let it collect dust. We need to get as much life out of that video as we possibly can. So we can take snippets of this video and add it to snippets of this video and combine them and freshen them up a little bit. We can create different versions and push them out on different platforms. We can roll them out on different platforms at different times. So, that's all part of this strategy piece. But it's important that we not just spend all of this time and energy creating a video and just putting it out there once and then expecting it to be this blockbuster hit if we're not going to do the work behind pushing it out effectively as well. And sometimes that means multiple times. It's important that we know the difference between organic and paid reach. If we were having this conversation 5 years ago, 7 years ago, we would be able to push something out social media, and everybody within our universe who followed us or who interacted with our brand would be able to organically see our posts. Unfortunately, gone are the days of that. Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff and everyone else in that space needed to make money, and so they began to monetize their platforms. And so with that came paid advertising. And so, it's really important that we understand, our organic videos are going to only get so much lift organically unless something goes viral, and which could absolutely be the case. But we can't just guarantee something's going to go viral. And so we need to potentially, if we want to reach people, we need to think about how much it's going to cost to effectively reach them in this space and look at putting together a budget for that as well. So it would stink if you spent all of this time building this beautiful video and pushed it out and only 10 people ever saw it. And so We want to see as many people as possible. And that's a big part of the strategy as well. And so not only do Carrie and I help with kind of building the strategy of how to build the content, but we also would be more than willing to help you look at how much you need to be spending from a advertising standpoint to push that out, and even show you how to do that on your own as well. And that could just be another lunch and learn topic, Sandy, down the road for others if they're interested in knowing how to advertise in the future. Obviously, we need to have a strategy of what we want, again, the video to accomplish, and we need to budget and plan accordingly for that. And so, again, we need to roll that out at the right time. When somebody creates a blockbuster movie at the theaters or on streaming that we're now able to watch in the comfort of our own home, for about the same price, they're very strategic about when they release that. We need to be the same as well. So just because we create a video on Monday and it's ready Monday night at 11:30 at night when we're done doing that aspect of our work for the day, doesn't mean that we need to post it right then. We need to be strategic about when we push that out and how we do that. And then, of course, we need to ask our network to share it. So, people that engage with your brand every day, your friends, your family, your coworkers, the people that work for you, they all need to be sharing that, because the more those videos get shared, the more the algorithm likes that as well. And then it becomes able to be viral as well. On the back side of things, after we post them and after they go out into the world, it's important that we understand and analyze the metrics. So each of these social platforms, as well as third parties, have the ability to track metrics as far as what's happening with our videos. And it's important that we understand those metrics and we understand what we're hoping to accomplish with those. So some of the metrics that we look at are view counts. So how many viewers have looked at our videos, unique and duplicated? What's the watch time? So out of the minute spot that we've posted, are people only watching 5 or 6 seconds? If so, then we're not grabbing them in and we're not getting their attention and we're losing them. So we need to figure that piece out. Is it being shared? Is it being liked? Are people commenting? What's the engagement levels, right? And so all of that's important. And so again, when you think about strategy, this is part of the strategy that you want to be thinking about, is what of these metrics is important to you. Again, knowing that we can't be everything to everybody. And so not every single one of these metrics is going to be off the charts, right? But knowing where to find the metrics on your social platforms and how to look at it will help you build additional videos that have great impact for your consumer as you move forward. Obviously, we want to find what works and we want to duplicate it. So if we have that blockbuster hit, we want to recreate that. And so we want to make sure that we understand these metrics so we can do that. Keep learning. Carrie and I are students for life. I think Sandy would tell you that she's a student for life as well. And so we learn every day. Not only are we learning new techniques with how to build these videos, but social media and how we consume and how the consumer consumes media is changing every day. And so when we just think that we figured it out, Facebook will change their algorithm and we need to figure it out again. And so I would just encourage you to keep learning. Don't ever say that you're a video expert or a marketing expert, because you may be able to be a pseudo expert, but we should be learning every single day. And we need to make sure that we're using the math and science of the platforms to our advantage. So make sure that we're taking advantage of the tools and the resources that those platforms are providing for us. We've already talked a little bit about the fact that video remember that tagging and categorizing, posting your work is important properly. And so especially on YouTube, we need to make sure that we're tagging them with the meta tag descriptions and uploading scripts when it's important and all of those kind of things, because as people are searching for content, they're going to find you because of the way that you've tagged it on the back end. So that's really important. Carrie touched on this. I'm going to say it again because I don't think we could say it enough times on this call. Is if you don't have enough time to properly strategize, meaning understand what you're trying to accomplish with your content, build the video, push it out properly. If you don't have enough time, because as a business owner or marketer, you're wearing 15 hats in your organization, and trust me, we all understand that because we all do that. Look to hire a professional. to help you with that, whether that's a contractor that can come alongside you and be a part of your team, or whether that's an agency, or whether that's a media company that you like to partner with. Whomever that may be, there are people out there that this is their jobs to do this, and it doesn't have to be a full-time position for your work. But if you're wearing multiple hats and you don't have the time to do it, add somebody to your team that can do that, because it is valuable. And remember, if the video is effective in doing what it's supposed to be doing, there's going to be a return on investment. So, make sure that you go into it understanding with that team member, whomever that may be, that there needs to be a return on investment, and understand that piece before you go out and hire somebody and just throw money out there as well. And at the end of the day, it's all about having fun. If you have fun in this process, and if you have fun promoting your brand in video, or educating people about your brand or your products via video, and you have fun with that, people are going to see that and they're going to want to be a part of that. And so if we're not having fun, or if it's one of those things that I got to do a video because I know that it's important, but it's one of those dreading things, then we don't need to be doing that, because that's going to be reflected in your work as well. So I say all that to say there's obviously a creative side to video making. And a lot of times people get really, really excited about that creative side because, oh, yay, I'm not able to be creative every day. And that piece is fun. But then also there's a very analytical and tactical side of things as well. And so you need to make sure that you're doing both in order to have effective videos as well. So that's our presentation for today. We know that's a lot of information, but Carrie and I would love to answer some questions if you have some for us. And Sandy, we'll turn it back over to you.
Oh, I need that on my team. I keep doing that. Thank you so much to both of you. Folks, if you have a question, please post those and we'll address them. But I have a question for both of you. You've been in this business for quite a while. Can you think of 3 or 4 things that business owners fail to do why they're not successful in their marketing and video, especially video marketing campaigns? Whichever one.
You can go first, Rob, if you want.
Okay, I will go first, Carrie. I would tell you that there's a couple of things. I think budget is one of the biggest ones. I think that when things get tight, or when we are launching a company, or when we're worried about things, we tend to pull the marketing budget first. And I think that that could be a big issue for businesses and clients, and could really hurt them quite a bit. But with that being said, I think when we talk about budget, we don't necessarily just talk about the dollar aspect of it, Sandy. We also are talking about the time commitment to it. And so, a lot of times business owners, especially small business owners, are trying to do everything in their company, and they're trying to do, the operational side, the sales side, and the marketing side of things. And sometimes they're wearing too many hats, and we're not spending enough time and energy on a particular hat. And so, when we budget, not only do we need to be talking about the monetary side of things, but we need to be talking about, do we have enough time and energy to be able to effectively do this? I also think a lot of times we all think, and I'm guilty of this too, that we know exactly who our consumer is and what they want to consume with. And the reality is we may not know those things. And so, we make marketing decisions and we build videos thinking that, oh, it's going to be great because my consumer is going to love this. And at the end of the day, we love it because it's what we want to see, but it's not necessarily what our consumer wants to see. And so I think that's another great reminder, is we really need to understand who our consumer is, or who our target audiences are, and really kind of market to them in ways that are effective for them, and not ways that necessarily are effective for us. Just because I read the newspaper every day doesn't mean that my consumer is going to be reading the newspaper every day.
Yeah,
Carrie?
I 100% agree. I think Rob hit the nail on the head there, and it all really comes back to strategy. And, it's so easy to say, okay, video is the hot topic, I need to make videos, but it's got to be so much bigger than that. There's got to be the strategy first. You can't put the cart before the horse. And then also it's, that flow of video, and gone are the days of making one video and then you're done. It's got to be that consistent output that we talked about earlier.
Before we leave this topic, how many times a week or a month would you suggest someone pushing out some type of video on their company?
I think that people should be engaging with their consumers on a daily basis. I don't necessarily think that needs to be video, but we need to be sending out content on a daily basis in the social media platforms, and it varies by social media. So, how often we do that varies. I think that's such a hard question, Sandy, because we have multiple industries probably represented on this call. And, a manufacturer may need to do it way less than somebody that's in a retail boutique that could potentially show something every day new, right? And so I think, if I were starting out, I'd try to build a realistic, and I was doing it myself, and I was wearing multiple hats within my organization. I would build a realistic goal of trying to produce maybe 2 new pieces of video content a month and see how that goes and how that's engaged. And then I would add on to that and see what my consumers want and how they're engaging with that and how often.
Carrie, you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great place to start. And then, we talked about building a library, and it doesn't take long. You do 2 videos a month, and pretty soon, in a year, you've got 24 videos living in the library, so that's where it's at. It's just that consistent trickle.
Thank you. We've got a question from Clint Waddell. He says, Carrie mentioned several websites. I'm more interested in learning how to edit my own videos. Where do I start? I have capable camera equipment. I just purchased a DJI Maverick, but I need to know how to edit those.
Okay. So videomaker.com is a great resource. They really speak to that topic a lot on there. So I would start there and just kind of maybe do a search on that website. And I think you'll find some really good resources there. There's, whether you're on a Mac or a PC, there's different portals, and there's a lot of free software. There's a lot of free software that's out there today. A company called Blackmagic has some software called DaVinci Resolve, and it's extremely robust, and it's also free. So that's great. But again, you really have to, make sure you've got storage and RAM and, processing power with your computer too, depending on, how heavy and what kind of, every camera shoots on different types of files or packages files differently. So you'll definitely just want to do your research, make sure that your computer, your editing machine is best suited for the kind of video that you're working on. And then you want to make decisions based on editing software from there. But I hope that helps.
Clint or others online, do you have any other questions? Kathy was, after I started, I think she had a question, but I think she's walked away. But even, let's say that everybody carries a mobile device around and has a camera. Don't cringe when I ask this, but for someone starting out, would it be better to be able to put content that's appealing and looks good about their business, even if it's using something like that? If I don't have the funds to spend, a couple $1,000s or $10,000 for a mega camera, and don't forget the microphone. There's one thing to take the video, but what are you going to do to fill that? What would you suggest? Do you feel like it's more important to put content out there, or wait until I have the money to put high dollar content out?
Great question. I would quickly say master the cell phone content, master just working on content. I think cell phone video in this day and age is a great place to start, because I've seen so many people in the past get so excited about video, and they get their budget together and they go out and buy all these tools. And then the next thing they know, they don't have the time. There's a learning curve often to learning how to use these things, and they don't have the time that it takes a lot of times to master those tools. So I think to start with the tools that you already have, start creating those little, even 10 or 15 second snippets. Use something like Canva to start working in those ways. And yeah, once you master that, I think that's when you want to start looking at, okay, let's look and see, maybe there's some other tools, because phones do have their limitations. A lot of times it's storage space or low light, capability, or even battery life, so those are some of the limitations, but definitely a great place to start.
Robin?
Yeah, I would just add to that. I think that consumers are used to not everything being so overly polished. I think if we were to even look at, let's use JHL and Josh Smith as an example, and Sarah Diamond, we see them polished on the news every night at 11. But prior to that, at 10 o'clock, they're getting on their cell phones or they're getting on their tablets, and they're telling us from a web, video standpoint, what they're working on in the newsroom that night, right? And so as consumers, we're all conditioned to be able to view videos much differently than we did 5 years ago. And so it doesn't have to be professionally polished. But I, again, and you all are going to be tired of me here saying this because I've said it 100 times today, regardless of the where and how we're taking the video, there still needs to be a strategy, right? So even if it's going to be a 15-second cell phone video, let's have a strategy and a purpose behind that. Let's not just do it to do it.
And would you suggest when you take that out of your pocket or you're planning on it the day before, is there an outline of things when you're getting ready to work on a video? What do you look at? I mean, there's got to be some, an outline or some major things that you want to accomplish in that video.
Yeah. So I would say, who's our target audience, and what, going back to that funnel we talked about, what's the purpose of the video? Are we creating awareness? Are we trying to sell something? What are we looking at there? What platforms we're going to be on again, is important for us to be thinking about. And so, and it wouldn't hurt to outline kind of a script and even outline kind of a storyboard, even if it's a 10 or 15-second video. This is what I'm going to say, and this is why I'm going to say it, and just kind of go through all the checks and make sure that we're hitting everything on that checklist before we push it out. Carrie, what would you say?
Yeah, I would say amen to all that. And then I would say on the technical side, some things to think about would be, if you're shooting with a cell phone, some portals, like TikTok or Snapchat, et cetera, may give preference to vertical video, whereas other portals, YouTube, horizontal video. So yeah, strategy, know your portal and what kind of orientation you want your phone to be in. And also, I see a lot of people historically shooting in front of windows or something like that. And I would just say, pay attention to lighting. A window can be your best friend when you're shooting. It can provide some nice natural light to light your subject, but a lot of times you want to avoid standing somebody up in front of a window where the background is actually brighter than the foreground. So basic lighting, you don't even necessarily have to have these big investments in lighting. You can go pretty far with an LED light that you could buy at Best Buy or order online, or you could use natural light. But just pay attention to lighting. Notice what looks good and what doesn't. And same with audio. You don't always have to have a fancy microphone. Just adding a little plug-in USB microphone can go a long ways to help your audio quality. But if you don't have a microphone, just make sure that you're not standing so far from your subject that you can't pick up clear audio, and that you want to pay attention to the surroundings and make sure you turn off the TV in the background, or make sure that you're in an environment that's quiet and suitable for recording good audio.
Great. I don't see any other questions. I want to thank both of you for sharing your time, but most importantly, your expertise. We couldn't do this program without you. And I want to thank those that joined us today. I hope that you received some valuable content and you took lots of notes that you can refer back later. Just a reminder, today's session will be uploaded to the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator's Facebook page. Also, the Chamber of Commerce, Washington County Chamber of Commerce, posts that on their Facebook page, and it's going also on our YouTube channel, A New Knowledge, where you'll find probably over 200 videos that we've posted up there over the years. So whenever you have a question about developing video or fixing financial projections or anything like that, please please take advantage of these videos because we've got them up there and they were shared by experts. I want to also put in a plug for our next New Knowledge session, which will be on March the 9th, and it will focus on reservations and event planning services and costs with the growth of tourism and outdoor adventure and taking advantage of locations in Southwest Virginia, these empty buildings and so forth to play music and so forth. There comes with that a need to plan that event so it's going to be successful. So Kim Davis with the Southwest Virginia Center, Southwest Virginia Cultural Heritage Foundation, or we always called it Heartwood, and she was also with the birthplace of country music and some other organization, is going to share her knowledge on how to set up events, things you need to look at and to do. And I hope you can join us there. And I also want to say, Kathy or Nita, my partners, do y'all have any questions or anything?
I had a question, but Clint asked it and it was answered well. And so Clint and I are on the same wavelength, apparently.
Great.
Thank you all. We can't do this without folks that volunteer their time and energy, and we understand that it takes a while to put together presentations and to do all of this, and folks are benefiting from your knowledge, and I just appreciate everything that you've been willing to do for us over the years.
Thank you.
And we've got notes from folks that viewed too today and was thanking you. So if you all would mind sharing your PowerPoint, I will be happy to push that out to our viewers today, that they might want to have that as a resource in the future, so they don't have to figure out where was that online. They can have that, and I'll be happy to share that out. Again, thank you, and I hope to see you in a couple weeks. And as I am always saying anymore, be a blessing to somebody today. We all need it. Thank you, and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.